Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. On today's episode, we are talking comedy, radio, reality television, relationships, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. I'm so excited. I've got actually one of my comedy friends on with me today that's going to be talking about comedy, comedy history, and where he possibly thinks comedy is going. He also has some exciting announcements to make. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome my guest on Next to Madison today, Jamie Roberts. How you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to have you on. We're still in COVID season. I think we thought it was
yeah, COVID season. Right.
Now it's so you're have been doing comedy a long time.
Yeah, maybe too long. So COVID kind of set me down.
Did you find it was a good break to kind of reevaluate a little bit? Like, is this what you really wanted to do? Did you want to shift gears?
Well, with comedy, I love comedy. So, not being able to perform is hurting me. It's my therapy. But it did sit me down and say, hey, listen, what do you really want to get out of this career? Because performing every night, you can't do that right now. So what else do you got? And luckily enough, I was smart enough to do some things in the background to make sure that I still have money coming in for comedy, whether it's Zoom shows, whether it's, spins on Sirius and Raw Dog Radio, stuff like that. Yeah. So there's still money coming in for royalties, but it's not, the money you would normally get on a weekly basis for performing. And, of course, I have a daytime job, as people say. So, I was able to stay afloat. But as far as comedy is concerned, this break has really taught me that you have to have other streams of revenue coming in, especially if you're a grown up in this world. You got to have more than open mic money. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got to have more than that.
No, it's exactly right. I think hopefully this opened up everybody's eyes to, having multiple streams of income and how savings is so important.
Right.
Because this became uncontrollable for everybody. Nobody was in control. Yep.
Right.
And then it was just like a whole new landscape. So let's talk about how you got into comedy, because for people that don't know, they're probably like, what?
Yeah. So I started comedy, wow, it was about to be 20 years. It was 19 years ago.
Wow.
So, yeah, I started comedy 2001, right? And it was right after the World Trade Center. Mm-hmm. I started in that October. So it was like, hey, do it now. Get in and get it now. You don't know what the hell this world is turning into. You've been talking about it for so long. And my brother dared me to do it one day because we went to a comedy club. I was like, this guy's trash. I think I'm funnier than him. I was cocky. I was the drunk, cocky guy in the back of the room. Yeah. Of course, I hate that person now when I perform. But so I entered a contest at Stand Up New York for the funniest person from Long Island. It was me and about like 7 other people. I actually won the contest. They brought me back to do my quote unquote guest spot at Stand Up New York, and then I became what you know as a bringer comic, where you had to start bringing people to perform. And then me and my cocky self was like, hey, I'm funnier than all these guys on the show. Why am I bringing people to see these trash? Let me try to produce my own show. That failed because I didn't know the formula. I just thought, hey, I call people, they show up. No, that's not how it worked. Yeah. So, I had to learn the business of comedy, and it came to me. Big brother in comedy is my guy Talent. He sat me down. He's the one who showed me how to host a show, how to open a show, how to warm up a crowd. I was doing this when it was the Improv back in when Broadway was the Improv on 53rd on Sunday nights. And so from there, I started hosting my own show with Latino Laughter. It was a black guy hosting Latino Laughter in the small room at New York Comedy Club. Yeah, it was crazy because it was just an opportunity, And I was young in comedy. I was like, yeah, why not? Spoke to him. He was like, hey, if you can host your own show, that's how you get better at comedy, because you'll be able to control the crowd. You're able to interject your jokes within your set, within your hosting, and you work things out that way. So good friend, Joe Mary, who is the bartender at New York Comedy Club, she was complaining that she didn't want to run the show anymore, and I just so happened to be there. And I said, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And she said, what? You want to do it? I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And she sat me down. She told me everything I need to do, except to book Latino comedians. So my first two shows, I was hosting Saturday night, 9 o'clock, the small room, and maybe one Latino on the show. And it was Latino laughter. And so I'm in a room with the full audience of Latino, Spanish-speaking paying customers, and I'm the black guy hosting it, and everyone I bring up is either white or black, and they're looking at me like, no, this is Latino laughter, what the hell are you doing? So they sat me down and say, hey, listen, man, you got to understand what we're doing here. This show is carved out specifically for Latino comics to have a platform for them to perform on in a major club, so you got to start opening up the gates and understanding what we're doing. And it was kind of like a history lesson to me, because I just thought comedy was comedy. But then I started figuring out, like, you know, there's the black comedy, there's a mainstream quote unquote white comedy, there's the Latino comedy, the Spanish, whatever it is. Yep. And then I started thinking, all right, so how do we cultivate this all together? Because there's funny people in each race, you know, so why don't we have a melting pot of comedy? And that's what brought about Sunday Night Live. And
I love Sunday Night Live. We had so much fun on that show.
Yeah, man, that show, oof, so much fun. The show and the after parties. But yeah, it was great. It was great. It's 10-year run. So we did it 10 years. Started that show with my guy, you know, hashtag Esteban Romero. I started it with him. And then, him and I started it. Then he quit on me because it got rough. I hope he's watching this. I hope he's hearing this. Yeah. Because I always remind his ass. I was like, hey, man, it's not always going to be a sold-out show. Sometimes you're going to have 8 people. Sometimes you're going to have 80. Sometimes you're going to have to turn people away. Yep. But, you know, take the good with the bad with the good. And he quit on us. And then I brought in your guy. You remember Justin McLean?
Yes.
Not McLean. What was his name? McClure. McClure. Justin McClure, right. He helped me produce it. And then I stopped using his services because he was trading out the show for bar spots. So I was like, no, dude, there's a level of comedy you got to bring to the show. You can't have the open micers on here like this. You know, you're ruining the brand. And it was all about the brand, Sunday Night Live, you know. Yeah. On any given night, you never knew who was performing. You know, Madison would drop in and do her time.
I always had the best time. I mean, it was so fun. It was and every time I was there, it was like sold out. Yeah,
it was a good time. And the beauty of it, it was universal, you know. So it didn't make a difference that a black guy was hosting it. It was just a good ass show, and that's all people wanted, was a fun time. You know, exactly. That's what.
And you hosted all those shows. You are a very good host. Thank you. That energy. Where does this energy come from?
Hennessy. I'm just playing.
I'm gonna go get some now. I'm tired.
The energy really just comes from the love of entertaining people. You know, I love to see people smile. I love to make people happy. And it's just something I need to get off my chest as well. You know, no one wants to walk around angry and upset all day. No one, that's not a way to live. You're not living if you're doing that. So, you know, the energy really comes from the crowd. When you walk in a room, you see a room full of strangers who came to see a dope show. You got to give them a dope show. You know, they're paying customers. It doesn't make a difference if they don't know your name. But if they don't know your name by the time they leave, you did something wrong. You know, they should know who the hell you are when you leave that stage. And that's very important, very important. So I've taken so many pictures of, you know, so many posts, so many emails, and I've made so many friends as fans. And, you know, it's it's a rewarding feeling when you see someone laughing and enjoying themselves when they didn't have to come. They could
Yeah.
have went anywhere. They could have picked any show. They could, you know, New York City is 1,000 shows going on every damn night. They
I know.
came to see you perform.
That's
Give
exactly.
them what they want.
And comedy has brought you a lot more than just laughter. It brought you your lovely wife,
Yeah, great segue. Yes.
also a
Uh,
comedian.
yeah, Nikki Sunshine. You know, I book her every now and then. She's somewhat funny. So, yeah, we met in 2010, and it was just friends. You know, always we was always just cordial, respectful to one another. And then we started, you know, flirting at a show at the Producers Club that I was hosting and she was on. And we said some things in the green room. I was like, oh, really? Oh, really? And then I sent her a text after the show, and she answered the text. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's see where this goes. You know, that was 2014. Yeah, 2014. So
Wow.
we just got married last year. So, you know, we got married last June. Yeah, we got married last June.
That's
So
great.
yeah, you know, and it's been a great experience. You know, we still laugh, we still roast each other around the house.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's the beauty of it, you know, because I've been married before. The beauty of it is that, you know, she understands what I'm doing because she's doing it as well. You know,
Yes, that is
that's
true. Because
key.
I always kind of steered away from like dating comedians because I was like, I'm just gonna not shit where I eat, so to say. And I
Right.
didn't want to have any awkward moments. But then when you were dating other people, at first you were a comedian, it was cool. And then it was like, what?
We got another show. Yeah.
Right. So I could see how that could be great because you guys understand each other and you get the lifestyle that it's not
Right.
out of the ordinary to pop out and do a spot and then come right back.
Right. Right. And the beauty of it is that we have common goals, you know?
Huh?
And once you have that in place and you understand the direction you want to go as a couple, it actually helps grow the relationship, you know? So
Mhm.
I come from an accounting background, you know, she comes from, her background's so diverse with all the shit that she knows and does. It's just like, all right, what do we have in common? We both love comedy. We both love to perform. You know, and shit, we look good together. So, you know, let's
You're
see if
very
we can
good
make it work.
together.
You know, so.
Yeah. So I forgot that. That's right. You started as an accountant.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
at least you're smart and like right when you started this, that you could incorporate and start writing everything off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's
Well,
a
you have to
good
become a bit.
attachment.
You have to become a business, you know, and the business side of comedy people overlook all the time. As they say, there's show business, the show, and the business side. So you got to know both sides in order to really try to be successful in this world. And if you don't know any business, I would tell you take a course. You know, take it online. They were giving them away for free, you know,
Yeah,
during the COVID situation. But learn it yourself. Just don't pay someone to do it for you because that person could be robbing you. And
exactly.
you should really try to get an understanding of where your money's going, how your money's coming in, like we discussed earlier with multiple streams of income.
Mhm.
Put yourself on a budget if necessary, you know, and just really understand where it's coming and where do you want it to go, you
Right.
know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. Because I hear, so, I was a finance major, so I had kind of that
Oh,
Wall
you're a
Street.
geek too. Oh, you're a geek too. Hey, yes.
So, I
Statistics.
mean, you know how much money I've saved because I knew when to write things off and how to write things off. And especially when
Right,
you're a new comic, like it really offset the other survival job income, I call it.
right, right.
It lowered that, which was nice. But yeah, I know. My dad's still an accountant, and I think he wishes he had become a comedian.
I've met him before. He's come to a couple of shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
next time you throw him on
There you
stage.
go. You have a nice, like, you like your lifestyle and your income. Trust me, this is a lot harder. You do my taxes, you should know.
Yeah. It's not
But
that
no,
many pages. Right.
when he's back in New York, I'm absolutely going to take you up on that. I'm going to put him on stage. He's been on stage at the comic strip once. He loved it.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he's got like
cool.
no fear. He just goes up there and tells jokes, and oh, it's really funny. Oh yeah. And I'm like, that's where I get it from, the dirty sense
Yeah.
of humor.
The dirty sense of humor is from him. All right, cool. Cool.
Exactly. So, you also have worked in radio. You worked in radio kind of during
Hmm.
the day while you were pursuing comedy at night.
Yeah, I worked for radio I'm still in radio right now.
Yeah.
But I started radio 2014, the same year that I started dating Nikki. So started radio at Cumulus. Was a sales executive there, an account executive there for Radio 1039 and WABC Radio, Nash, PLJ, all those great stations. Worked my way up to become sales manager of 103.9 over there. So I held down a sales manager position for 2 years. And then I left Cumulus last year and now I work for SBS, which is Spanish Broadcasting Systems, which owns La Mega and Amor, which is like the two powerhouses in New York City for the Hispanic community.
Wow.
Ratings out the window. I mean, like ridiculous.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And just two great brands to work for. That, and I also started a digital station, so which is like my pride and joy, my little baby that I work on, and
So tell us
growing.
about this, because this is new.
Yeah. So when I was at Cumulus, we put together an investment team who wanted to actually try to buy Radio 103.9 because it was up for sale. The numbers came back a little too high for the station. And we said, the hell with that. Thank you. We'll go another way. And actually, that station's still for sale. That's how high that number is.
Wow.
So, we sat down at the table, figured out what we can do. They put me in charge of putting together a team with actually audio talent, marketing plan, everything you can think of from the beginning to the end. They asked me to help them with, to draw up. So that's what I've been doing. It launched in May, and it was crazy because we launched during the pandemic. And it was
Yeah.
like, why would you want to go into business during a pandemic? And it was like, well, we know where our audience is. They're home. So it's the best way to reach them.
Yeah.
And, it's been growing. We're up to about 180,000 listeners now. And
it's 108 Soul, which is the new R&B station, correct?
Correct. Yeah. 108 Soul, the soul of New York.
And where can
So,
they find it?
They could go 108soul.com, or you can go to any app store and just put in 108 Soul. Soul is spelled SOUL. New York, and you can even ask Alexa, enable 108 Soul New York, and Alexa will play it. Working right now with iHeart and TuneIn to get on those platforms, and it's just growing. I mean, like you'll see it's the advertising is on the taxi cab tops, digital tops in New York City, at the airports, the platforms in on the LIRR. So we're at Baldwin, soon to be at Valley Stream, on the Metro North at White Plains and 125th in Harlem. It's just growing. When I mean growing, I mean
awesome.
it's growing to the point where, like, why didn't we do this earlier? But things happen for a reason. And I'm glad we didn't try earlier because we didn't have the resources earlier to get it done.
Well, that's exactly right. As you go through life and you accomplish things, and then you say, "Oh, I wish I had done this sooner." You probably weren't ready.
You weren't ready. Yeah, just like marriage. I tried it sooner and I wasn't ready.
Like lesson learned, right? Hopefully it didn't cost you too much.
Oh yeah, it cost me half my shit. But besides that, yeah.
I feel like I should put that on my other stream of income, marrying the Lord. As long as he's the breadwinner, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you can find yourself one, I'm not knocking it. I am not knocking it.
I know. I'm like, I think it's easier just to make it on your own. Right. You're right. I guess my morals, maybe. I don't know. But you're right.
Your morals will kick in, and then, when you're 6 years old and you're eating a cup of soup by yourself, you know what? The hell with these morals. I'm tired of these cats. I should have just went with, anyway. I'm sorry. That's not.
No, I know it's true. Like you look back, I mean, it's funny. Like when I, see women or men that are married to like very rich spouses, you're just like, ugh, how did they get so lucky?
Yeah. Yeah, I know how to.
But here's the thing too. You want happiness is the biggest key, because you can have all
Yes.
the money in the world and be so
Yes.
miserably married.
Yes. Happiness is the key because it can get you through a lot. Happiness and communication. You know, you have to be able to communicate with your spouse and talk about the good times and the bad times. Because if you don't, and you're keeping it to yourself, or you got someone else who you're giving this information to, that person becomes your spouse. So you don't even know it. And then you're going for coffee every Wednesday with this person just to spill your guts. You're like, hold on, what's really going on here? And
Yeah,
that's called emotional cheating. That's called emotional cheating right there. That's what that is.
right.
I learned that in therapy.
Exactly. But you and your wife Nikki actually had an opportunity to really get to know each other prior to getting married. You both were on a reality television show on FYI.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. It was
tell us
called,
about that.
the name of the show was called A Question of Love. And, Nikki had this genius idea of, hey, why don't we try out for this reality show? They want couples who are, newly dating, thinking about moving in together, which we were at the time. And they just want to, just interview us. I sent them our picture already. Before I even said yes, she already sent it off. Dean Slater, who was the EP, hit us back. Was like, hey, yeah, come back. Hey, we want you guys to do it wasn't Zoom, it was Skype. We had to Skype in.
Okay.
Remember that? Remember that platform, Skype?
Oh, people still use it. They do,
Yeah,
and
I know.
it's like it's so much more complicated than Zoom.
Right, right. But that's what we had to do. We Skyped in our interview.
Uh-huh.
And they loved us, so they asked us to come to the city, do an in-person interview. We did that. We did a mock up of what the actual show would be. So we came here makeup ready. They shot it on camera. And it was a great sizzle reel for them. And it was like, listen, we love what you guys just did. There's no doubt in our minds that we want you guys to be a part of this project. We're going to send over the paperwork, review it, whatever. So we said, all right, yeah, sure, no problem. We didn't think anything of it. Paperwork came back. And we were like, holy shit. I mean, this is real. You know what I mean? Like, wow. And, we had some people look at the paperwork, the lawyers, friends who went to law school are now comedians and now, sleeping on somebody's couch. Hey, can you look at this paperwork?
Yeah.
Who knows if they looked at it or not? Yeah, sounds great. They could have just, they could have been breaking up marijuana on the paper. We don't know. But
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
so we signed it, sent it back, and it was called A Question of Love, 10 episodes. So what it entailed was Nikki moving into my apartment in Queens Village. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath at the time. My mom was living with me at the time, my
Wow.
2 kids, and then Nikki. Nikki comes in. And so they filmed everything. They set up cameras in the house like it was Big Brother. And they filmed everything. I mean, they filmed us cooking. They filmed us waking up. They filmed my daughter's birthday. We went to the beach. They filmed us shopping. We filmed everything. So the basis of the show was we had to sit across from one another and ask each other the hard questions, the tough questions that you wouldn't normally ask someone when you first start dating. So like, what's your credit score? Do you know if you're disease-free, drug and disease-free? When's the last time you got tested? What happened in your past relationship that you're now single? Is it possible that we could talk to your exes? Let's look at your bank statements. These are things that we don't even think about. We're just trying to get to, base number 2, second base, third base. We're not even thinking about, hey, does this person even know what their credit score is? How much money does this person have in their account? Are they a leech? What do they do for a living? Is this your only income? What is your 5-year? How people say, what is your 5-year plan? What really is your 5-year plan? What do you have in place? Do you own property? What is your family like? What is your family makeup? Do you have crazy folks in your family? What's going on? How was your childhood growing up? These are questions that if you were to ask anyone just off the street when you just met, they'd probably pick up this stuff and run, because it's too intrusive.
Right.
You don't want to give that information off because sometimes you're guarded, and you don't know this person, and you may not want to expose yourself to this person or open up this early in the relationship. But hey, we're at a certain age now. We don't have time to play games. We did that in high school. We did that in in college. I was going backwards. I should have been going forward. But college, we did that when we graduated. What are we doing now? We're in our 30s, 40s. What are we doing now?
Right. So that leads to another thing I was thinking of, like, because I'm in the dating game, like, when do you ask these questions so they don't become something that scares somebody, but helps grow the relationship?
It all depends on the relationship, because, if you can ask someone to sleep with you, you should be able to ask them what's their credit score.
That's a good idea, but how weird is it that we find it easier to
open up physically than it is financially,
right,
or even mentally, because it's like you're giving yourself to somebody that you quote unquote trust, because you're really giving your life to somebody. You don't know if you don't know their sexual past. You don't know their history. You don't know. I don't care if you wear a condom or not. You don't know if they're safe. You don't know what's going on. But you're willing to sleep with them, but you're not willing to ask a question over dinner, like, hey, how about we print out our credit reports and go over some things? Oh no, I don't want to know that. No, you shouldn't know that. Well, you know what I look like naked? I should know if you can pay for this dinner or not. It's just
right. It's true. And Jamie, I can't wait to text you after I go on a date, and then I'm like ready after multiple dates, and I'm like, listen,
that'll work.
Do you have a rubber, and what's your credit score? And you can't say, if you can't answer both of those questions, then I gotta go. Take an Uber home. They're going to be like, get the F out of my house. And then I'll be like, right.
Well, it all depends on who you got to screen them. You have to screen them, and we don't do a good job of screening folks.
You think that I should know or people should know somebody's credit score before having sex?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. No, I'm not. Please don't. That's not what I'm saying. But my reference is basically saying, like, you're willing to give up your body. You're willing to ask someone for sex, but you're not willing to ask these other types of questions.
I guess it would be at that point where if, like, you really liked this person and you were like,
right, where are we going with this relationship? If we're going anywhere, I'm going to need to know if you can afford to take me there. I'm going to need to know, what's hindering us from moving forward. Oh, you got some student loans you didn't pay. All right, great. So how do we take care of that? And it's like, oh, is it our problem now? It's their problem until you get married, right?
Yeah.
So how do we figure that out? How do we move forward?
Right, and
it's a lot.
Because those are really good questions. And so these are probably questions that you had never asked Nikki before you got on.
No, I didn't even ask. I didn't even ask my ex-wife. So, and I married her, and it was like, what? Yeah, well, I was right. So, these are certain things that it was eye-opening, because these are questions we should be asking. These are the real questions that we should be asking. Not, hey, how much you getting paid for that spot? Who cares?
Right.
So those type of questions helped grow our relationship. And it opened us up. It opened both of us up to being vulnerable. You don't want to be you don't want to show all your cards, first and foremost, because then, oh, you know everything about me. What are you going to do? Put it on Facebook? You're going to put me on blast or whatever? Big deal. My relationship was on TV. So, if you want to know what the hell I'm about, Google. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So, but those are the type of questions and things that are intrusive to some folks. So you got to be careful who you're asking it to, because they may not be the person. And you may not want to answer it yourself. You may not want to answer that question yourself.
Credit score, I don't mind answering. I got a great credit score. I'm over 800.
All right. Well, there you go. So do you think the people that you're dating are over 800? Or do you think they're close to it? Do you think, does it make a difference to you? Does it make a difference to you too? That's another question.
Well, if they, you don't have to have an 800, but if they have a really shitty credit score, it is going to make a difference. And the reason being, if you get married, it brings down your credit score, which can then affect your buying power for,
Correct.
you know, for
Well, their credit score is their credit score, right? But if you're trying to buy it jointly, correct, it does affect you. But it also gives you an indication of how responsible this person is.
That's exactly right.
And you're giving them your body. So you're giving an irresponsible person your body. Anyway, you know, I don't want to talk about that. But the show was great. I had everyone on there, from my mom to my kids. They even wanted my ex to come on. I was like, no, we're not doing that. You know, that we got to draw the line in the sand somewhere, and that's the line, goddammit.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, it worked out well, and I was able to film it. They filmed us at a comedy show. You know, they brought our whole life to the world, and it was eye opening to actually see how they edit things and how they cut it out, and you know, it was a lot. It was a lot. I'll send you the.
I can't wait to see it. Was there anything in there that was cut to make you look bad?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. It wasn't like, oh my God, I can't wait to find Jamie in an alley and beat the hell out of him. No, it wasn't nothing like that. It was just, you know, some things I know they have to do for TV, for ratings, you know. But it wasn't like it wasn't like I was looking crazy on television. So I wasn't mad at it.
So were they guiding you along during the filming process? Hey, today you need to do X, Y, and Z because these are the storylines we want to film?
Well, not really. They were asking us what we had planned, and we would give them like the agenda for the week, and they would figure out what they wanted to tag along to do, you know, what they wanted to shoot. So like I had to go shopping for my daughter's birthday party. They wanted to come and tag along for that. And then they made it a big spectacle. All right, well, we have the perfect store for you to shop in. I was like, I would never buy anything out of this store. It costs hella expensive, you know? So they're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stage it like you're buying stuff here just for it, and then you can go and do it. You know, I was like, yeah, the balloons, how much? Yeah, all right. They have dollars.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
but it was a great experience. I mean, like, even how they treated us on camera, off and on camera, you know, we were treated like quote unquote stars. Yeah. You know, we had our own area. We had, you know, craft services for ourselves. It was great. They picked us up, dropped us off where we needed to go. We filmed in Jersey City a lot. So Jersey City and downtown Manhattan.
Interesting. Is that because they were familiar with the space and?
Yeah, they had a lot of relationships with the businesses over there.
Okay.
So the restaurants, the hotels, but everything else was at the house in Queens. So
when you said they put cameras in your bedroom, did you go and like flip them on when you were ready, or they were?
Yeah. No, they weren't running all the time. That's a little too invasive. You know what I mean?
Say, they could do a separate cut for Pornhub. You know?
Right. And that's where the real money starts coming in, man.
Right, exactly. That's crazy. I know our porn girls have done all right during this crisis, apparently.
Yeah, they're doing great.
I was like, oh, why do I have to like my father? Because then if I had a shitty relationship, I could just pop a titty out and make thousands of dollars.
You better get an OnlyFans page to stop playing. You know what I mean?
You know, can I wear a mask on my OnlyFans so nobody can see it's me?
I got you.
Like, no. What is with this OnlyFans thing? Everybody's talking about it.
It's a paid subscription page that people have to pay to see whatever you want to do for them. So it's like a peep show video camera, you know? So, you know, before Times Square, they had the 25-cent peep shows. You just go in and put a quarter, rolled up, and hey, you know, they're taking it off. That's what the OnlyFans is. Not that I know personally, but I've heard.
You have a page?
No, because that would be the mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard that there's quite a few comics on there, and I was like, what?
It's ridiculous. I don't. The only comic I want to see naked. Well, I can't say that. All right. So anyway,
the only comic you want to see naked is your wife. I'll just finish that sentence for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Right.
Oh, That's too funny. So where do you think comedy's going? Because you're in New York too, and New York has had a really tough time. I mean,
Man,
we haven't even
man.
talked to them about like when clubs can open. I mean, these owners have no idea.
The thing about it is that you have to be you have to understand that comedy is not your only source of entertainment, you know, because stand-up comedy should be propelling you to the next thing. So stand-up comedy should be, all right, you're doing stand-up now to do what? Oh, you want to get into movies, you want to get into television, you want to get into voiceover work, you want to get into shooting the movies, it's something else that you want to do. If you're just a sole stand-up comic, then you're selling yourself short. You know, there's some great stand-up comics that's all they do, but I think, you know, it gets to a certain point where you have to understand that you need to grow. You know, it can't just be about grabbing a mic and telling jokes 3 times, 4 times a night to run home with $500 cash, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You have to be able to evolve. But the comedy scene in New York City has taken a major hit. I mean, I don't think anyone's performed since April. You know,
some like park
at
shows,
a club.
outdoor shows, but
Right,
small and very
right,
few and far between.
right. But I mean, like an actual club like Broadway, I don't think has been open since April. New York Comedy Club, and like, what are they doing? You know, how are they surviving? How are they able to, even not just the owners, what about the actual bartenders? What about the actual wait staff?
Yeah,
You know, that's hard, you know, no income.
I know.
No income whatsoever. So you have to understand, you got to evolve.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And you know, it's like I started in comedy, and I've pushed more towards like the writing and producing side, which I love. But without stand up,
That's where the money is.
I never
That's where
would
the
have known.
money is.
That's exactly right. The money and a better lifestyle.
And then you call the shots.
Right. I don't want to. I don't want to be receiving the phone call. I want to be making the phone call.
Yes, exactly. Boss woman. That's right. That's how you're supposed to be. And if you don't envision yourself as such, then you're selling yourself short again. You know, if you're always going to be a worker and never an owner or an employer, you're selling yourself short. You know, and by you becoming the person you are, you're able to employ your friends. You're able to help your friends out, put the people on, and
Yeah.
that's what it's about. If you know, that's the whole purpose of this thing, to evolve. How do we all get ahead?
Well, that's exactly right. So where did your kind of because you have a lot of business smarts obviously, but your confidence is there.
Oh,
And a lot of people in comedy aren't so confident. They appear confident on stage, but there's really kind of a masking of insecurity. But you have always come across very confident, sure of yourself. You know what you deserve, and where did that kind of come from?
getting kicked in the face a lot. Meaning, you know, you have to understand, like, you're gonna eat some, before you become confident in what you do. You know, and it's repetition. Once you know what you're doing, you're confident in who you are and what you stand for and what you can do and what you can deliver. No one can knock you off your square. You know, no one could really take you down and try to tear you down. There's no reason, and I told many people this before. It's like, when they're looking for a host in New York City, I want my name to be mentioned. You know, it doesn't make a difference what type of show, whether I'm hosting an award show, whether I'm hosting a comedy show, it doesn't make a difference. I want my name to be mentioned because I'm able to handle any crowd, you know, and I've proven it. So it's like, you have to have that understanding. What is your niche? What are you good at? You know, I'm not the best headliner. I can headline, you know, but I'm not the best at it. But you put me, you know, in any arena to host a show or anything, I'm going to do the hell of a job.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best because I know how to do it. I've been practicing it. I've been perfecting it for years, you know, and there's still times I still get nervous hosting shows. Don't get that twisted, but there's still times where you have to do your research, what you're walking into, who you're going to be in front of, what type of audience, you know, and just the circumstances of what you're faced with before you start to work.
Yeah.
because everything's not a comedy show. Remember that. Everything is not a comedy show. So you could be hosting a wedding. They want a comedian to host a wedding. There's nothing that funny about a wedding. That is a great time for family. You can't be up there telling, vagina and jock jokes at a wedding. You know what I mean? Titty jokes. Hey, that doesn't, so you got to be able to, transform or become relatable in a
Yeah.
funny way.
Absolutely. So
It's not always about the setup and punch. So
exactly. So do you have any aspirations to host a television show one day?
oh hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hell, I would
Yeah,
love
you
to.
could
I
prep
wanted to make
that.
Sunday Night Live. I shot a sizzle for Sunday Night Live to host that because there's nothing like it on TV.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. We used to have something on Comedy Central. I forgot the name of it. It was like not Comedy Central Presents because that was a 30-minute thing. It was Comedy Central and it used to be hosted by like a DL, and it was different comics from different walks of life.
Uh-huh.
And we don't have that. We don't have that on an HBO. We don't have that on a Showtime. We don't have, everything is niche. You got to be an alt comic to get on this. You got to be a black comic to get on that. You got to be a Latino comic to get on HBO Latino. It's like, where's the melting pot? Where is that?
That's
Oh,
true.
Netflix is doing it? No, Netflix is giving millions of dollars to all these guys who don't need the millions of dollars because they already got the millions of dollars. You know what I mean? Where's our opportunity? So I try to create that. It came off well. The Sizzle World came off well, but we couldn't sell it. We just couldn't sell it.
Why do you think that was?
Because I'm Jamie Robinson, not Dave Chappelle.
Well, you just got to keep evolving.
What'd you say?
You got to keep evolving.
Right. But, you got to get in the room with the right people. That's what it comes down to.
It is. And that's what I've learned too. It's like the more people you kind of know you and, the easier it is to kind of get things done.
Right.
Which
Now,
is
have you experienced that people don't take you serious as a woman trying to be an EP? Have you experienced that type of pushback, or like, they look at you funny because, hey, who are you to be trying to do this?
No. And the reason being is because, my manager brought me to these people. So they took him serious. They knew he wasn't bringing everybody there.
Right.
I also wasn't going there saying, hi, I'm Madison. I'm a comedian. I'd love to be a star.
Right.
Coming to them with with a product that could make them money.
Right. Okay.
So at that point, they were like, yeah, I can see where your vision's going. So it's all about showing up prepared. If you're just going to kind of show up and not have anything to offer them but a smile and a handshake, well, back in the day, a handshake, then you're probably not going to be taken as seriously. But if you can, and that's the thing with, if you're going to meet somebody, make sure you're strategically doing it. Show them what you can do to benefit them.
Right. Don't want to waste their time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like, acting was a struggle for me.
Okay.
Because I did the acting courses and, I look like every other, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl running around Los Angeles and, with less credits. So it was like, oh my gosh. So it pushed me into the direction where I really want to be and where I feel like I actually thrive.
Right.
So, but I think it's if you don't feel like you're taken seriously, maybe try to approach a meeting by presenting something that benefits them. That's what I.
Right. And you said something very, very very well. You said something that hit home, which was you have to come with a business plan, something in place. So you're not coming to them as, hey, I'm a comedian. You're coming to them, hey, I'm a businesswoman. I'm here about business. Yep. And that is how you get your foot in the door, and that's how you get respected. You know, because you can meet with 1,000 comedians. What makes you different? What do you have? What are you doing differently?
Right.
And that's the business side of show business.
Yep.
That a lot of comedians don't get.
And there's other things like when I'll go into meetings and, you've got one end of it and then you're also like, oh, but I'd really like to be in something, but you can't have those conversations yet. And the reason is because you want to be seen as a serious business professional. One day you can call all the shots, but it's kind of, moving the chess pieces.
Correct. That's right. I always say that.
You can say, I'm hosting this show, or I'm going to play.
I always say that. Like, they're playing checkers, I'm playing chess. And you have to understand that. You have to understand there's a reason for every move that we make. And if once you figure that out, you'll know which way you're going, which direction you're going in. And it's not just, hey, like that's one of the reasons why I don't do every show that's offered. Because it's, big deal. Comedy. I've been doing comedy for so long. To get on someone's stage, why run to do it? It cost me $50 to put my shoes on. Why am I coming to do your spot for $25? What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
that's the benefit of having experience and growing up, is you start to realize like what's worth it and what's not.
Right. And of course, you do some of those shows just to work out, or you're doing someone a favor, but at the same time, you have to understand what's taken away from your goal. What is your goal, first of all? And is this interfering with what you need to get done? You know? You need to figure that out. And once you figure that out, you'll be all right.
Couldn't have said it better. So before we wrap up, I want you to give us your top 2 relationship pieces of advice, and then where we can find you.
Top 2 relationship? Is this business or this is personal relationships? Which one are you referring to? Or comedy? Which one are you talking about?
Either or. But I liked you sound like you've got your shit together on both ends. So pick and choose. So clarify beforehand.
All right. So with comedy, right, I would say relationship-wise in comedy, it's very important to secure relationships in the world of comedy. I've seen a lot of people fail because they've burned bridges. Because they put their emotions into things and not thought rational. And they've missed opportunities because of that. So you have to remember that, in the relationship of comedy and the business of comedy, you have to be business-minded. So you have to remove your emotions from certain situations in order to move forward. There's a reason why they didn't pick me to host, First Amendment. I can't be upset at the casting director and, oh, the hell with him, the hell with her. Oh, I can't do that because you'll never be considered for another role.
Exactly.
You'll never be called again to audition for something else. And you have to understand, it's not always for you. I forgot the name of the damn show, but it burned and crashed. And I was like, damn it, I was supposed to be and burned and crashed. And I was like, damn, I dodged the bullet. Because if my name was attached to that, oh yeah, he was part of that project. Stay the hell away from him. And then that's all they think about. Oh, he was a part of that? Oh, no way. You don't want to put him on anything else.
Yeah.
And just it's hard for comics, but to be honest with your goals. What are your goals? What do you want to do? Mm-hmm. That's the best advice I can give. You have to be honest with who you believe you are. Everyone believes they're the funniest person in the room. Look around, there's somebody funnier than you. Right?
Yes.
But you have to be real with who you are and where you want to go with this. Your manager, he knew he wasn't the funniest guy.
Right.
And what did he do? He went and opened up a damn comedy club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what do? You have to adjust. You have to be able to understand where your place is. And if you don't get that, you're never going to move ahead. You're always going to be stagnant. You're always going to wonder why you're getting passed up on things because maybe you're in the wrong lane. Maybe you need to figure out which direction you're going in and listen to people. Listen to people.
Yeah. And you guys, Jamie's talking about, comedy, so to say, but really what he's saying can be applied to any business.
Yes.
It's really about relationships, not being emotional, not doing stupid things. If you don't get a promotion at work, maybe it wasn't for you at that time, and to just, keep putting your best foot forward.
Right. I'll find another job.
Exactly. And don't sleep with your coworkers.
Well.
Unless you're a comedian.
Unless you want to get married.
or your boss, unless you want to get a raise.
It's funny that you say that. Don't sleep with your coworkers because I was like, I used to employ you before we got married. I used to book you for my shows. And that's what I tell Dickie all the time. I used to book you. I used to pay you. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, anyway, it's the Me Too movement before the Me Too movement. So,
Right, exactly.
And you can find me at jamieroberts.com. That's JamieRoberts.com, and Comedian Jamie on all social media outlets. This was fun.
And
I appreciate you so much.
108 Soul.
Oh, 108 Soul. Yeah, 108soul.com. And all the social media for 108 Soul is 108 Soul NY. So it's 108 Soul NY. And it's growing. You want to be a part of it.
I love it. I'm so happy.
Nikki has her own show as well. We were able to get her own show on. So she's on Saturday mornings.
Oh, that's
from 9 to 12.
great. Well, tell her congratulations, and congratulations to you and to both of you on
Thank you.
passing 1 year of marriage. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back and watch your reality show after
Oh,
you
Lord
about
Jesus
it.
Christ.
It's gonna be
You're going to call, if you do watch it, you're going to call or text, because I had like 3 comedians after I told them we were on it. This was, Carlos. He texted me. He was like, I can't believe you did this. I was like, yeah, man, it was a lot. I would never. I was like, yeah, man, I know. And he kept sending me texts. I was like, listen, I can't do this again. I did this already with 2 other comedians. And just started laughing.
Yeah.
But it's the truth, man. It's the truth. It's a lot. It is a lot. You'll learn. You'll learn a lot about Jamie Roberts and Nikki Sunshine.
Well, I can't wait. So you guys go check it out. Also, make sure to go check out 108 Soul. Follow everything. And his wife, Nikki Sunshine. She has a Saturday morning show, so check her out. She's absolutely freaking hilarious and just such a bundle of sunshine, literally.
Thank you. Thank you.
And and thank you, Jamie Roberts, for being my guest today. And thank
You're
you
welcome.
guys listening, wherever you're listening, for listening to another episode of Next to Madison. And we'll see you guys next time to find out who's next. Bye. Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.